Smillie, and I'm an artist that specializes in murals. There was a public call from CAN TV requesting muralists across the city. I'm not sure, it may have gone out further than that, to submit qualifications for a mural for this building, and ultimately I was selected.
Sitting at the bottom of the cellar, I'm thinking about her.
The whole production was on scaffolding. That was just stunning. I had a chance to talk to a number of the people who work here, and each one had stories about what brought them here, what attracted them to this station, the history of the station, the history of this building. But more than that, the visuals of walking through and seeing the cameras and the stage, and every room had TVs and monitors and editing equipment that looked like TVs. So the initial ideas came from the visuals that I saw when I walked through the place.
Does the mural have a name? What's it called?
Oh, heavens. I haven't gotten there yet. Isn't that funny? I hadn't even thought of it. Because sometimes, I do a working title that ends up sticking with it, but the working title has been CAN TV. The black boxes are inserts of some, but not all by far, of the different shows and the diversity of programming that's here. Because the building actually has two windows, I decided to make those work as the control panels so that you could experience, when looking at the mural, what it would be like to be in the studio and see the control room, but also you can experience the whole mural as just a viewer of the TV content. What I prefer doing is just taking a push pin, unless it's a massive thing, and doing the holes, because I like the holes just a little bit bigger when I'm working on this scale. It's perforated all the way wherever there is lines. So when I tape it up on the wall, the powder goes through where the holes are, and it leaves me a little dotted line to be able to transfer it to. And the nice thing about doing it with a pattern like this, unlike projections, which you'd have to line up again, I can do this, paint the white clock face, paint everything out, put the pattern back on and transfer, and I know it will line up because it's exactly the same pattern. So that's your little walk back in history.
This is more or less meant to be seen from the L or the train?
I wanted it to work on multiple levels, but yes, so that when you rode by on the train, the colors, the clean graphics would catch your eye, and you would probably go, oh, TV. And then when you parked here and walked up to it, you would be able to go, oh, I saw that show, or hey, there's a lady playing a piano, or those dancers, what does that mean? How does that work? And so that there would be more to discover. When we went through the approval meeting, a number of the people on the board, as they continued to look at it through the meeting itself, said, oh, I get it, that's what this part is. And to me, that's an ideal in a mural. If you can process the whole thing in one take, it loses some of its vitality. And I would rather have something that you continue to discover over repeated viewings. or sometimes you dismiss something as, oh, that's just a picture, and then 6 months later you go, oh, I get it. All those pictures are shows that are on the networks that the 5 channels that are broadcast here. Or I actually saw that show the other day when I was streaming it, and now I know that that's from here. So sometimes I think we look at a lot of murals and just go, that's pretty red and blue, but don't take the time to look at what the content is until you've walked past it that 10th, 20th time. I do think I let the design of the building dictate a lot about the style of the mural, that the mural is very clean and graphic, which is not always my style. I was also very comforted when the architect for the building supported the mural and commented that the bars that are represented by the colors in this mural are they play with the vertical of the corrugated metal on the other half. And Mary ended up telling a story of the history of the design process of this building, where they had talked about painting the street side, the 13th Street side, I think, not the Wood Street side, in big, bold colors. And so it was sort of, unbeknownst to me, full circle that this design ended up picking up on some of that history.
The mural movement, like the murals in the city, what do you think is the effect of that? Is it...
So this summer/fall, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of other artists, including Wes, and some other artists on other projects. And we've really been talking a lot about how murals have been functioning in the city, that they bring the art out of the museums and onto the streets for an awful lot of people who don't get to take time off from work, or their schools don't have the budget to take field trips to an art museum and the science museum and all the different places that they go. By having hundreds of different voices, visual voices represented through all the different murals, people are getting arts education every time they go to the grocery store or run an errand, right? They get to see contemporary art, they get to see classic art, they get to see graphics and word art and the whole spectrum. And I think that's the coolest part, the greatest gift that the artists are creating for the city, let alone kind of creating an identity, right? Mm-hmm. What Pilson's murals have done for Chicago is really elevate their profile because they are unique. They're not the same ones that every other city has. And that's important, I think.
So one of the things that this mural eloquently tells, the story that it tells, is multi-layered. It's a tradition of bars and tones, which is one of the staples of television. Then you can see, as far as the things that take place in the studio, you can see the just as far as the on-air talent, the variety of different things that we showcase, and it just tells a great story.
Well, first, I think with all the vibrant colors, I hope they're curious to approach the mural and then realize that this is a very welcoming and creative place, and so they can come right into this beautiful lobby to say, hey, you know, what is CanTV all about? Who do I talk with, and what can I learn? And I just want the mural to incite curiosity.
You know, like everything else, the pandemic hit and we had to slow everything down. But then everything just sort of lined up. I actually work across the street from CanTV in the Illinois Medical Districts. And the IMD started an arts council. I'm on that. I'm also, chairman emeritus of CanTV. And it just so happened that in a previous life, I was the president of the Six Corners Business Association, and that's where Arts Alive 45 started, and I met Syd Smillie. So in a really small world thing, it all just came together. And personally, this is one I'm just really happy and proud of. So it's a good day.
I have to honestly say the committee was so helpful and decisive. Every question I had an answer right away, so I wasn't kept wondering and asking and waiting. There was not a lot of confusion, and everything was met with such support and encouragement and information. Lots of personal stories that made it very easy to connect with the feelings that I wanted to capture in the mural.
Well, I hope when the Chicagoans see this mural, they get to see the culture of CAN TV, our mission, and what we hope to do in the future for media, for the voices of Chicago, and overall artistry.
When I told my youngest daughter that there was a chance I was going to have to speak, she laughed, knowing me too well, and said, well, if you're outside, you should probably just go over and sign the mural and then just drop the paintbrush and walk away. And I thought, it's going to be too cold, we can't. And now I could have, and it would have been fine, and who knew? It's been such a privilege and an honor and such a joy to work with such a decisive and coherent and just inspired committee and leadership. From Sarah starting us off with, I'd love it if you would tell our story, at which point I thought, but there's 3